Hey, Pretty Girl Club, welcome back to the Beluga series. I am bulk recording today, so let me know in the comment section what you want me to talk about next. But today I'm going to talk about how you're fat because you have nothing to look forward to. I have said this several times. Big people, part of the reason why they're big is because they have nothing to look forward to but food. Every holiday that comes around, what is she looking forward to? Eating. I have never met an obese woman that has a lot of hobbies outside of the house. So if you're big, I want you to think about the time in your life when you were the fattest. What hobbies did you have outside of the house? Name 5 hobbies that you had outside of the house when you were overweight. Because you probably didn't have any. Like when I was a beluga, I was inside of the house all the time. And I also feel like whenever you're in a relationship or you have something in your life where you kind of settle down. So, for example, you get married, you had kids, you've got a career that you're settled down in, you don't plan on leaving that job or getting a promotion. There's always this aspect of settling that's behind women who let themselves get big because they feel like there's no reason to be small. There's no reason to go out and run 5 miles. There's no reason to lose the 20 pounds. For what? She has no motivation. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for her. There's no prize. There is no social reward that she gets from being thin. So that's why I say that you're fat because you don't go anywhere where being thin is rewarded. You don't go to the gym. You don't go out to the mall all the time. You don't go out to the nice parts of town and walk around or go to the beach. Those are areas where being thin makes you stand out. You don't go to non black communities because the black community, majority of black women are actually obese. So that's another sign that points to you also being probably monoculturally black, as well as being monoculturally poor because lower socioeconomic areas tend to have more big people. So if I see somebody who's big, I'm thinking in my head, okay, so that's where she hangs out. She hangs out in those types of areas where everybody's big. It's normalized to be big. They don't have the money. They can't afford Ozempic. They can't afford the VSG surgery. They don't have access to healthcare. I see a lot of people talking shit about women who get like that VSG surgery. And it's like, you're only talking crap because you can't afford the health insurance to be able to get that. I would never make fun of somebody who got a surgery to save their life. Like, why is that negative? Why are you shaming people because they decided to not be obese? You're shaming people because they decided to do something that actually helps them. Meanwhile, if you actually had the money, you would do the same thing. But women who have the beluga mindset, it's because they don't have anything to look forward to. So if you're fat, it's because you probably don't have enough hobbies. You don't have enough hobbies outside of the house. Name 5 hobbies that you have outside of the house. Ready, set, go. I'll wait. Trying something 1 to 2 times, that's not a hobby, that's an interest. You tried going bike riding back in 2005. Okay, fine. So that's your interest. That's fine. You tried something new, but how often are you actually doing this? Women with the beluga mindset, they're not trying new things. And I hear a lot of them say things like, "Oh, cooking is my hobby." No, cooking is a part of being an adult. Women who actually have cooking as a hobby, they go to cooking classes. So like me and my friends actually, well, this is my beluga habit of the month. Me and my friends, we're gonna do like a dessert making class. And it's like, okay, if I'm going to be a beluga, at least I planned out my beluga activities. Like, okay, I'm going to a class, we're going to be baking cookies, and I'm going to eat the cookies. But a lot of women with this beluga mindset, their lives are boring. That's why they're in the house eating all day. They're eating to cure their boredom. And that's what made them big. It's because they got bored 5 times in one day, so that's why they had 5 chocolate bars in one day. They got bored 15 times over the weekend, that's why they had 15 slices of pizza. And I feel like when it comes to hobbies, there are different levels to hobbies. Doing something in the house by yourself, that is a solo activity, and that's valid. You should have solo activities, but they never do anything outside the house. They don't go to cooking classes. They say they like cooking, but they don't go to classes. A hobby is something that you invest money in. So that's another reason why sometimes people stereotype big women as being broke because they didn't have the money to invest in their own hobbies. Like investing money in a cooking class, that actually could help you to lose weight because now you've got different strategies on how to make something healthy. You're investing money, you're getting out of the house, so you're getting your steps in, you're getting access to sunlight, you're getting outdoors, you're socially interacting with other people. A lot of big women, they become big because they're not being perceived by people very often. So there's no need for them to impress anybody. There's no need for them to show off their progress of like their weight loss or anything. There's nothing they're going to where they have to dress up. They just go to work, to the grocery store, and then they come back home. So that's why I talk so much about hobbies. Hobbies, that's a part of social climbing because your hobbies actually helps the quality of your life. And that's why a lot of people stereotype big women as also being mentally ill. Because think about it, all she does is she goes to work and then she locks herself in her apartment and then she forces herself to watch 10 episodes of a Netflix show and then she eats up all of her groceries and that's it. She just goes to work, home, and the grocery store. So if you are overweight, I can pretty much guarantee that part of it is because you don't have enough hobbies outside of the house. Because if you actually had a hobby you were excited about, you would want to look cute. Like going to the gym, going to a gym outside of the house, that counts as a hobby. When I was going to the gym, I actually would get excited like, oh, I'm going to carry my pink gym bag. I've got my cute little backpack. I have my cute outfit on. I was actually happy. And I remember like being motivated to go to the gym, and it actually inspired me to try different machines at the gym. Like I started doing the stair stepper. I tried out all these different like universal machines that they had, and that was because the gym was my actual hobby. It wasn't something that I was dreading. So a lot of women who have this beluga mindset, they don't have anything exciting in their lives. They don't have anything that they're looking forward to. Some of them view the gym as a chore. They're like, oh shit, I have to go to the gym. And it's like, if you view the gym as a chore, you picked the wrong hobby. Nobody's forcing you to go to the gym. I lost weight without going to the gym at all, actually. I didn't go to the gym not one time. Everything I did was pretty much inside of the house. So I would get my 10K steps inside of my apartment. I would literally be marching in place while I was scrolling on my phone because I didn't know what else to do and I was broke at the time. So I was like, well, at least I'm moving my body. Women with a beluga mindset tend to be followers as well. Like I've noticed that they just kind of follow whatever they think is trendy online. So that's not even being true to yourself. Do you really want to be shaped like a pizza box? Do you really want to be shaped like a blueberry? Do you really want your stomach to look like a bowling ball? No, you don't. So that's how I know you're not being true to yourself. So if you're trying to get out of the beluga mindset, one difference I've noticed is that skinny, pretty girls have hobbies outside of the house. Even something like makeup, because I see a lot of big women say that they're into doing makeup. Makeup to go where? Where are you going with your makeup? What are you doing with your makeup? Because even when it comes to makeup, there are levels to that as well. I enjoy doing makeup, but it's like, okay, there's a difference between the beluga who does makeup and she just sits at home and nobody gets to see her beautiful makeup versus the big girls who do makeup and now she's building a makeup business. Or she has an entire TikTok page or an entire social media where she's showing off her makeup. She's teaching makeup classes. She's going to makeup classes. That's why I say that there are different levels to hobbies. If it's only in the house, that's not the same level as somebody who does that hobby outside of the house. So one of the main problems of being big is trying to hide 24/7, trying to hide from everybody. Living in your house, treating it like a cave, literally living like a troll in a cave, living like an ogre in a cave somewhere, living out in a shack in the middle of the woods, and then you never leave. Yeah, that's contributing to making it worse. Being trapped inside of the house for 11 months out of the year, that's boring. That's demotivating. You're not supposed to do that. Studies show that when you don't socialize with others, and I don't care if you're an introvert, that's an excuse. I see introverts having great social lives. I see introverts that have friends. I see introverts that are very successful. So being an introvert, that's not a valid reason to just trap yourself inside and to never go anywhere. So anytime I see somebody with a beluga mindset, my mind instantly thinks, oh, okay, yeah, she does hang out probably in average settings. Because really, you're really just average. Size 16 to 18 is average. So if somebody's average in terms of their body, what other areas are they average in? They're probably working an average job. All their friends or family members are also the same size. So they're also average. Part of why I've never been obese is because I always try to go out of my way to hang out in above average spaces. I actually was looking at a picture of myself from when I was a beluga. I didn't realize it until the other day. I was the biggest one in the friend group. I didn't realize it. I was literally the beluga of the friend group, and I was not obese. I was a size large, and I'm 5'9", so that's not. Think of like Meg the Stallion's body type. So clearly not fat, but I still was the biggest one in the friend group. You know why? Because I was in a group of women who were all well above average. They were all very exceptional in terms of how they took care of their bodies. So everybody was tiny. Everybody was what, a size medium at the biggest? And so part of what influences you is the environment you're around. So women who are big, they're in environments where being big is acceptable. They hang out with a bunch of basic Bettys, or they are the descendants of basic Bettys. Their mom is a basic Betty, their aunties are basic Bettys, and they never realize it until after they start to lose the weight. And I've also noticed that one of the downsides of being a beluga is going into these classy environments. Like, I see all these YouTubers, they talk about leveling up. They're like, oh, just go to a classy hotel, just go to the opera, just go to the boat club, go hang out on yachts, go on the dinner boat. Okay, if I was shaped like a pizza box and I go on a yacht, I'm definitely not going to feel like the baddest bitch in the room. I'm definitely not going to feel like I'm gorgeous. I am definitely not going to feel like I fit in. So it's almost like this domino effect where you get fat because you don't fit in, but then you no longer want to have hobbies outside of the house because you feel like you won't fit in. And it's like, no, you need to experience what it's like to not fit in. You need to experience the realities of being big. Don't try to eat a whole bunch of food and then try to run from the consequences. No, that's not how life works. So guess what? Get your big ass out and go to the yacht club, go to the cooking classes, go to the classy opera events, go enjoy yourself, but then you will become more aware of your body like, oh wow, I'm the biggest person in this theater. And a lot of people will call that being insecure, or they'll say, "Oh, well, you feel bad about yourself." Okay, but insecurity is also normal. I don't know why people demonize insecurities. It's totally normal to feel insecure if your stomach is poking out. That's your nervous system telling you, "Hey, I'm too big. I don't feel comfortable in my body. How I look is not aligned with how I look in my head." Like, I will never forget when I was a beluga, one of the things that used to bother me is how I would look when I put on makeup. I did not recognize my face in the mirror because it was so puffy. I was so used to having a snatched face, like a nice, high cheekbones, snatched jawline, nice eyes and everything, nice fluffy eyebrows. I was so used to having a certain look. But then when I gained weight and I would put on makeup, I would feel uncomfortable because I would not recognize who I was in the mirror. So my internalized beauty standard, my internalized standard for myself was misaligned with who I was in the mirror. That's where the insecurity came from. So anybody who shames you for having an insecurity, she's an insecure ass bitch. She feels below you. That's why she's trying to shame you. That's why she's demonizing you for having an insecurity. There's actually nothing wrong with having an insecurity as long as you are not hurting yourself or others. So being insecure because you look bloated or because you're obese or whatever, that is completely normal. And so that's why you do need to still get out of the house if you're big, because you do want to face the reality. It's a good reality check for yourself. Like, hey, I'm in Whole Foods. I'm the biggest one in Whole Foods. Wow, there really are skinny people out there. A lot of big women, they're fine with being big until they get into a room full of skinny women. That's when it's a problem. That's when they start feeling like, "Oh, I don't fit in. Oh my god, I'm the biggest one in the group. Oh wow, we're in a co-ed setting." That's another trigger for most women. Once they get in a co-ed setting, then suddenly they become aware of their body. So it's like there's nothing wrong with different settings causing you to be aware of your body, but that's a part of how you're going to grow. You need self-awareness in order to grow. So that's why I keep on saying that part of why you're big is because you don't have anything to look forward to, and then you don't have any hobbies outside of the house. You have to get outside of the house so that you can interact with the world. It's very important to know, how does the world perceive me? How do I want to be perceived? How do I want to move through the world? Do I want to move through the world as an obese woman? Am I okay spending the rest of my life dealing with fat phobia? Is that something I'm okay with? Or would I rather deal with people accusing me of having an ED because I'm thin? Which one? Which struggle would I rather pick? You got to pick a struggle. So for me, I'd rather be accused of being too skinny than be accused of being too big, because the world worships thin people. The world worships thin, fit bodies. The world worships having a flat stomach, having toned legs, having toned arms, only having one chin. That's what the world puts on a pedestal. So even though you're going to have haters as a thin woman, I'd rather deal with those type of haters than deal with fat phobic type of haters. So, for all the exoticals watching this, step one is to get hobbies outside of the house. Whatever you're doing in the house, that could be knitting, crocheting, reading, cooking. Try to do that outside of the house. So, instead of just reading by yourself at home, joining a book club that you go to once a month. Also, being skinny actually teaches you social skills, because in order to lose weight, you have to learn self discipline, self control. You have to learn when to say no. You have to learn boundaries. So, you expect me to believe that somebody who's overweight, she doesn't have any food boundaries, she doesn't have any health boundaries, she eats her feelings. You expect me to suddenly believe that she's emotionally disciplined? She's not. But guess what? Women who have the ability to lose weight, they also have the ability to discipline their emotions. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't mean that they're perfect because they're thin, but it does mean that they are much better at regulating their emotions than somebody who's big. Because the majority of why you're big is usually because of emotional eating. You're in a good mood, you want to eat. So you're using the food as an emotional anchor. Oh, I have to celebrate this moment. So you're using food as a way to ground yourself. But women who are thin, we don't use food as a grounding technique. That's why you see a lot of women doing yoga. You see more women doing like spin classes, working out, because that's how we get back into our bodies. That's how we ground ourselves. That's why we go outside and we'll have a picnic outside or something like that. That's why you see a lot of skinny women out in nature or out at the beach, because that's our strategy for grounding ourselves instead of eating cake. So do you see how it actually helps you with your social skills? Because you become better at emotional grounding, you become better at discipline. Having discipline is a skill. And so that's a transferable skill that you can use in dating, because now, you have boundaries with food. If you have boundaries with something as simple as food, usually you're going to have some form of boundaries with friendships, with family, maybe with men, with dating. And again, it doesn't mean you're perfect, but it does mean that you have that skill and you can use it if you want to. You have more skills in your emotional toolbox. The difference between me as a size extra small versus me being big is I know how to invest in myself. I don't try to cut corners. When I was a size large, it's because I was cutting corners. And I thought that nobody would notice. Oh, let me just have a little chocolate square here and there. Let me just have a couple Oreos here and there. You know what? Let me just overeat just a little bit, just by 200 calories. So that's cutting corners. That's cheating myself. But as an extra small, I'm not cutting any corners up in this bitch. Nobody's going to be able to call me fat. Nobody will be able to call me bad body. And that's another thing, too. The whole concept of a revenge body, there's nothing wrong with that. I see people, they try to put that down. They'll be like, oh, well, that's negative. That's an external locus of control. Okay, well, if it takes a temporary external locus of control to improve myself, then I don't see anything wrong with that. I'd rather get a revenge body than go back to a toxic ex. So it's like, which one would I rather choose? Pick a struggle. Which struggle would I rather have? The struggle of being with a toxic ex, or the struggle of losing weight to get revenge on that ex? At least if I'm losing weight, I'm not hurting anybody else. That's the whole point of my content. It's to talk about ways that exoticals can improve ourselves without having to physically hurt others or physically hurt ourselves. Number 2, most women stay big because they are monoculturally black. Yeah, I said it. You live in an all-black neighborhood, you come from an all-black background, and we know that in the black community, it's celebrated to be overweight. Being at a healthy weight is not something that's celebrated in the black community. Even when it comes to the food, I've seen black people say it's nasty to eat salads. They'll say that your food is unseasoned. Like if you eat tuna, I see a lot of black people making fun of tuna because they think it's like a poverty food if you eat things like tuna or sardines and crackers and stuff. But if you're in the white community, that's no problem at all to have crackers with tuna as like your snack or something like that. So that's a cultural difference. Sometimes your cultural background can have disadvantages. There are pros and cons to every culture. So the con of black culture is that when it comes to weight loss, that's not really promoted in African American culture, by the way. I'm not talking about the other types of black cultures, because I do think that there are some black cultures that tend to eat more fruits and stuff like that, like eating mangoes and like, that's considered good. Those are considered really good. But in African American culture, there is an emphasis on like fried food and heavy carbs like mac and cheese. There's an emphasis on using butter, and if you don't have a quote unquote fat ass, aka being overweight because of your ass, sometimes in the ghetto black culture, that's going to be made fun of. And black excellence culture, that's not a problem to be thin. But in ghetto black culture, then it is going to be a problem. So depending on your socioeconomic background, depending on where your family comes from, that's also going to be a factor. A lot of women who are big, they were raised in a household where it wasn't promoted to be thin. They were raised in a household where, you have to eat or you need to finish everything on your plate. And so I see a lot of women staying thick in order to fit in with black people, especially exoticals. If you're already light skinned, you're already mixed or something like that, you're already accused of benefiting from texturism or featureism. I've seen a lot of exoticals stay thick because they feel like their body type is the blackest thing about them. And I mean, I feel the same way about myself, honestly. My body type, I do have that same body type where it's like that curvy body type. So I understand wanting to emphasize it, but that is still a coping mechanism. And it's an unhealthy coping mechanism because now you're risking all these health issues just so you can fit in with the black community. And by the way, it's not going to erase the fact that you're mixed. Being big is not going to erase the fact that your hair's curly. It's not going to erase the fact that you have light eyes. So it's not as much of a disguise as you think it is. A lot of people use being overweight as a disguise. They use it as a way to protect themselves, but it doesn't protect you like you think it does. So you're literally putting yourself in harm's way because you don't want people to feel threatened by you. And be sure to check out my video that I made a while back. It's called Being Scared of Your Own Beauty. That ties into what I'm talking about here, especially if you come from a black background or if you're around crabs in a bucket mentality. That's a big one as well. A lot of people are big because they're surrounded by hating ass bitches. They're surrounded by crabs in a bucket people. They have this mindset where they want to tear you down, and so they don't want to deal with the drama that comes with losing weight, and then that's why they isolate themselves. That's why they only go to work and then come home, and then they never go out. They don't make friends because making friends equals danger. And so it's like this domino effect where their entire lifestyle supports being big. Number 3, reason that women are belugas is because she has nothing to look forward to and she has no friends. So food becomes her friend. Ice cream is her friend. So instead of going on a road trip to visit friends or family, she goes on a road trip so she can eat. Instead of spending the weekend with somebody who loves her, she's spending the weekend at home eating something. So she's using food as an emotional support. She's using food as a replacement for human connection. That's why she's big. And that's why I also say that a lot of them don't have social skills either. It's because they don't socialize. When do they socialize outside of being paid to socialize at work? Because that doesn't count. Your life is not revolving around work. It shouldn't revolve around that. And then they'll be like, oh, well, I socialize when I go to the grocery store. I talk to the cashier. Okay, talking for 15 seconds per day, that's not the same as a thin woman who has an actual friend group, or, she actually goes out. She has a whole calendar filled with places she can go. That's not the same. There are different levels to socializing. So women who have this beluga mindset, they tend to be bare minimum socializers. Okay, I think I'm on number 4. She centers her life around cravings. So maybe she decentered men. Maybe she has decentered everything except for her own cravings. As soon as she feels a stomach rumble, she's binging. As soon as she gets one little desire for some potato chips, she's going to say yes to it. That's what she centers her life around, is her cravings. Oh, well, I ate like a beluga because I'm on my period. Okay, so you are a period centered woman. You center your life around your period. So your period controls your life. Got it. The sales at Walmart and the sales at Costco and Publix, that controls your life. Okay, cool. So you center your life around cravings then. You spent all that time decentering men. You spent all that time decentering your toxic family and friends just for you to replace it with cravings as the center? Sounds like a coping mechanism to me. And one of the talking points that I hear people saying is, oh, Exoticals United, everything is not about socializing. And plus, with the Exoticals, you guys aren't famous, you guys aren't rich. It's not about being rich and famous. I talk about socializing because I want people to have emotional support. So if you're big, part of why you're big is because you don't have anything you're excited about this week. Name one exciting activity that you're doing this week outside of the house. If you're big, I want you to name that. Name one thing you're excited about. Usually it's going to be some sort of food. Usually it's something involving food. Oh, I'm excited because I'm trying out this new soul food place. Oh, I'm excited because me and my mom are going to get barbecue ribs. Okay, so you just proved my point. If the most exciting thing in your life is food, you are more likely to be big. So part of how I became thin was getting more excitement in my life. And by the way, for some of you guys, when it comes to relationships, sometimes your relationship actually takes away the excitement from your life because some women are out here dating men where that man doesn't even take her out. It's literally a t-shirt and sweatpants relationship. All they do is sit in the house in their t-shirts and sweatpants and they just watch movies all day. Every weekend they're in the house. Friday nights in the house, watching TV, eating popcorn. So is that really bringing excitement to your life? Because that just sounds more like a source of comfort. And it's good to have comfort. That's not a bad thing, but I don't base my whole lifestyle around comfort. I find other sources of comfort. So instead of using food as comfort or instead of using somebody's dick as comfort, I will use something else like going to the sauna, maybe saving money. That's a really great source of comfort for me. Knowing that I stayed with my budget or, putting a little bit of money into some stocks or some ETFs, that makes me feel a sense of comfort because my future feels more secure. Thinking about a goal that I have, like, okay, I want to save for a new car or I want to save for this vacation. Having something to look forward to, that's my source of comfort. So a lot of big women, they don't have anything they're looking forward to. And then these men that come into these women's lives, they're literally taking away the excitement. So she could be out exploring the city with her girlfriends, but instead she's sitting up in the house with Tom. She's over here sitting next to Tom on a rocking chair. Okay, so then that tells me that male attention is really the currency there. So you're revolving your life around just male attention because that's really all he's doing is giving you dick and attention at that point because he's not giving you any new life experiences or anything. You just keep meeting up with him in a private place. So instead of you being locked in your prison cell, which is your apartment, now you're locked in his prison cell with him, which is his apartment. So do you see what I mean about how that doesn't help her to lose weight because she still doesn't have anything she looks forward to? And the thing that really bothers me is when men try to make this excuse like, oh, she only wants my money. And it's like, sir, if you really loved that woman, you would figure out something to do with her. Everything is not super expensive like that. Like, I mean, if you're going to have some sort of boyfriend and you want to lose weight, you guys could at least be going bike riding for God's sakes. You could at least be doing some sort of activities that's going to help you lose weight. Even that is better than sitting around with this man eating. Just getting bigger and bigger. And some men want you to get bigger as well because they're afraid of other men wanting you. We all know that majority of men worship healthy bodies. They do. There are more men who prefer a woman with a healthy body versus a woman with an unhealthy body. And that's why on corn culture, majority of what you see in corn is going to be women who are fit. And then majority of what you see in the media and on social media is going to be women who are fit. I talked about this several times. Men's internal beauty standards are based on Hollywood and corn. And, social media is really just a spin-off of Hollywood. Social media is kind of like a modern version of Hollywood. So instead of traditional media, now it's moved to social media. So you're over here hanging out with this guy who is literally contributing to you becoming bigger and bigger. And he doesn't want you to lose weight. In fact, I've even seen those videos where men will say, oh, that's a sign she's going to leave you, is she starts losing weight. Okay, so you're admitting that you're a loser then. You're admitting that if she loses weight, she's leveling up. So for some men, they will actually sabotage their overweight girlfriends. They don't care about that girl losing weight, because her losing weight means that she's going to have more dating options, or she'll have more energy. She's not going to be so tired and lethargic all the time. So she has more energy to go out. She can stay up later. She can do more stuff. So for some women who are belugas, their environment, it actually takes away, like their relationship takes away from them having something to look forward to. So if you're an exotical watching this and you're big, one of the questions you can ask yourself, take out your pretty girl journal. You can ask yourself, what am I excited about this week? If the answer is food, that's a problem. Okay, so what are you excited about? Like, I can answer. For this week, I'm excited because it's my friend's birthday. And so me and her, we are going to this bingo night. It's really random, but we're going to this bingo place. And I'm going to meet some of her friends. And then I might actually invite one of my other friends. And then after that, my other friend is having a housewarming this weekend. So I might go to that. I don't know if I am. And then I have a book club meeting coming up. So those are some things that I'm excited for. Notice how I said nothing about food. I have no idea what kind of food they're going to eat. I have no idea what food is going to be at the housewarming. Notice how the things that I mentioned, it has to do with friendships. It has to do with my friend leveling up. You know, she has a housewarming because she has her own house. So it's me celebrating friends as opposed to using food as celebration. I said nothing about chicken wings. I said nothing about going to get some ice cream. And I'm not trying to say that you can't enjoy food, but it shouldn't be the main event. So the way that I think about food is like, I will go to the event, and then if there is food there, if there's something that I am interested in while I'm there, then I can enjoy it. I don't like anticipate, oh, how is it going to taste? That's a craving type of mindset where you're thinking about, oh, what kind of food do I have a taste for? Oh, you know what? I would love some Mexican food. You know what? What kind of Mexican food would I want? Ooh, I want something really cheesy and something that's like with a lot of queso. And I don't even think like that anymore because I have other things to think about. I'm thinking about what my friend wants to do for her birthday. I'm thinking about actually planning to go to a class with her next week. She wants to start doing Pilates. All that shit that I talked about Pilates, and I'm actually going to be trying Pilates. That's going to be one of my new sports that I'm going to be trying. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I named a new Pilates studio, hanging out with friends, going to a new place. So skinny women, we tend to get excited about different things. So it doesn't mean that if you're skinny, you're better. It just means that we have a different focus. So, by the way, if you are thin, comment down below. What are you excited about over the next 7 days? Because it's probably not going to be food. It's probably something else. Are you excited about, I don't know, taking your dog on a walk or doing some fun activity? You know what I get excited about? And it's really random. I literally get excited about going to buy candles. I get excited about vacuuming out my car and then getting this. Okay, so this is also random, but in my city, the beauty supply store, they sell those little things that make your car smell good. So if you live near a beauty supply store, you may want to go and see if they have little good smelling things for your car. That is something that I got excited about. Literally having perfume for my car. And as far as food that I'm excited about, the main thing that I'm looking forward to is trying this new healthy food shop. Okay, so on the Patreon, if you follow the Patreon, you guys heard my story about how I recently went to the restaurant opening. There was this random MLS man who like happened to be there. It was an all women's event. It was a non-black event, but there happened to be a whole bunch of exoticals there. Everybody was skinny, by the way. Oh, and that's another thing that I forgot to mention. With being thin, it makes me stand out amongst black women and it makes me fit in with non-black women. And I know that's a very controversial thing to say, but that was definitely amplified when I was at this restaurant opening. So anyway, this weekend we're going to the same restaurant. And it's a healthy food restaurant. So they've got vegan stuff. It's basically a vegan place. So they've got all this awesome food there. And I have thought about what I'm going to get. So if the weather is a little bit warmer, like if I warm up from walking, I'm going to eat maybe like a smoothie bowl or a salad. And by the way, I have already texted one of my friends this weekend, the same one that we're going to the restaurant opening, and this is a non-black friend, by the way. So that same girl, I've already texted her ahead of time, and I said, hey, I'm trying to get my 10K steps in. Do you want to walk around the plaza and then we can get our steps in? Because it's like this really big plaza. It has several different floors. It has like 3 different stories to it. So I was like, do you want to walk around the plaza? We can go up and down the stairs and stuff, and then we can get our healthy food. And she said yes. So that's a benefit of being thin. I have thin friends who also enjoy being thin. And like, do you see how everything is kind of interconnected? And when I talked about what I look forward to, it wasn't based on my taste buds. I'm not a slave to my taste buds. So I said nothing about, oh, I'm so excited to taste the Mexican food, and oh, I'm so excited to have barbecue sauce and to have my fingers covered in barbecue sauce. Excuse me, I have been manicuring my nails. Okay, that's another one of my new hobbies. I started getting my nails done like outside of the house. So not just doing it at home. I started going to different nail places. So I don't want a bunch of barbecue sauce to be in my nails, and it's like underneath my nail, and then when I touch my face, now there's barbecue sauce on my face. Do you see what I'm talking about? Those are fat girl problems. Those are big girl problems. But another thing that I was just thinking about too is with my friend, the one that's going to do the 10K steps with me, even if my friend says no, if she says, hey, actually, I can't make it, I'm still going to go. I'm actually going to just go by myself. So that's another advantage of being skinny and feeling like I have pretty privilege. Like, I will literally just show up by myself and I can make new friends there. I can talk to the other girls who are there. I feel like I fit in. I feel like being thin adds to my exoticism, not just in the black community, but also in the non black community. Because let's be honest, a lot of people have stereotypes about different ethnic women's bodies. They do. Like, the stereotype for black women is having a nice ass and having like kind of this curvy Coke bottle shape. It's very similar for Latinas as well, kind of being curvy, especially if you have some black admixture as a part of your Latin heritage. And then we all know for white women, the stereotype is being thin, having no ass. And then for Asian women, it's also being thin. That's kind of the stereotype of their body. So for me, anytime that I'm extremely thin, I notice people are more likely to stereotype me as having some sort of Asian mix. And I think part of that has to do with my internalized beauty standard. It actually is more of like almost like this K-pop type of look, in terms of body, and then sometimes even in terms of my style as well. Like, I enjoy how my hair looks when it's straight, when I'm thin versus when I was chunky. When I was chunky, I hated my hair being straight because then it draws attention to how big my cheeks are. It literally just made my face look like a giant circle, and then I had no hair distracting you from my fat face. So I didn't really like having my hair straight when I was chunky, but when I'm very thin, I can do my hair super pin straight, and like I can even do it short if I want. I can do it super long and down my back. And so it kind of adds to the exoticism as well. So that's just another random um, thin privilege thing. And I talk more about that in the Patreon. But for women who are big, is there anything in your life where it used to make you happy, but you don't have time for that anymore? Because most big women, they weren't always that big. There was always a time where she was thinner. So if you are a big exotical listening to this, think about when you were the healthiest. Think about when you looked the prettiest. What were you spending your time doing that you don't do anymore? What hobbies did you have back then that you don't have anymore? Because I've noticed a lot of big women, even if they're doing hobbies in the house, they're just sitting around. But like as a thin woman, some of my hobbies in the house, I noticed they still involve moving my body. So for example, creating my own DIY face mask. I have to stand up in order to do that. I have to stand up, go in the kitchen, I have to get the mixing bowl and all that, or maybe even the blender, and I have to blend up what I'm making. My hair treatments and stuff, like next week. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do it next week, but eventually I'm going to go down to the Asian market and I'm going to get all these different things that I want for like flaxseed gel and stuff. And then I'm going to be standing over the stove and boiling the stuff so I can like do my hair. I've got some ghee. By the way, I am obsessed with ghee. Shout out to the Ethiopian Exoticals because I had no idea what ghee was until I started watching a lot of the Ethiopian influencers. Anyway, so I have some ghee in my cabinet. I might create a hair treatment out of that. Or so even the hobbies in my apartment are still with me moving my body. It's not me sitting down and drawing or sitting down and painting. And if you're going to paint, you could at least go to an art class outside of the house because you're getting your steps in. You have to walk to your car. You have to drive there, which burns calories. And then you have to walk into the place, which also burns calories. And you're probably going to be a little bit more on mentally. And using your brain actually burns calories as well. So using your brain, using your social skills, and then hopefully making friends and then going out and doing other art classes with them, that is still contributing to you having something to look forward to. Like, I'm the type of person that loves dressing up. So that is a huge motivator for me to be thin. When I was big, everything I was wearing was so I could hide myself. I'm trying to hide my arms, hide my stomach, hide my boobs, definitely hide my ass, definitely hide my hips. I would never wear skirts. You wouldn't catch me dead in a skirt when I was chunky. I don't want to show those big ass legs. I'm not showing these big ass thighs. Hell no. So when I was bigger, I was dressing in a way that was more restrictive, but then being thin, it's more like I get to be excited. Like if I were an artist, if I knew how to draw and if I had an art class, I would get excited. I would be like, oh, I'm going to wear a little beret or like, I'm going to wear a cute little apron. You know how they have the aprons that you put on when you do the art classes and pottery and stuff? I would get my own little apron from the Dollar Tree and then I would just get excited about going to the class. Because even my fashion, even my clothing is a conversation starter now. Versus when I was big, my clothing was used to hide everything. I was always in dark colors because dark colors make you look thin. So you could forget about wearing white. I would never wear white. I would never wear some of my favorite colors like pink, light blue, light purple, white, neon colors. Absolutely not. Everything was black, gray, muted brown, raisin colored. It was always something that was trying to make me look thinner. But if you're big, I want you to think about the most exciting woman you know. Think about somebody where you feel like she has an exciting life. It could be somebody you know, it could be a celebrity, it could be somebody that you look up to. If there was somebody out there where you felt like she had an exciting life, what would you do if you were in her position? So, for example, Olivia Dean just popped up in my head. I love Olivia Dean. Be sure to stream her music. I am so proud of her. She just popped up in my head as somebody who is living an exciting life right now because she just got nominated for several awards. She's got some really great performances coming up. She does like photo shoots and everything. She's very pretty. Okay, so she just popped up in my head. So that means that I associate excitement with being pretty and being recognized for a talent. I associate excitement with traveling and kind of like having new experiences, having adventure. So if you're big, I want you to think of a random person that you think has a very exciting life. What would you do if you were in that position? Would you be eating cakes every day? Would you be binging on pasta? Would you just be locked up in the house? What would you be doing? Because for me, I try to romanticize my future. I feel like that really helps me. It's like a form of motivation, basically. And then sometimes I like to use other women as a mirror. I like to use other women as a form of inspiration. So I will think of other exoticals, other women who have a similar look as me or whatever. I will think of them and kind of imagine myself like being their friend or maybe even being able to go to their concert or something. So is there a woman that you get excited about when you think about her life? Or is there a favorite music artist that you have? Like Beyonce. I know a lot of women like Beyonce. When they had that Cowboy Carter tour, I saw a lot of girls dressing up in these cute little cowboy boots and stuff and then posting it online. Okay, so if you got free tickets to go to Cowboy Carter, would you be binging on spaghetti? Would you be binging on everything? Or would you want to look cute and then take your cute little photos? And I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, that's shallow. You're just trying to take Instagram photos. Okay, well, which one is a better habit? Looking cute and taking photos or sitting around getting diabetes because I overate? So you got to pick a struggle. But another thing that makes women belugas is they're using food They're using it as like a transitional thing. So, for example, I used to overeat after work. That was my main time that I would overeat. I never would eat a lot at night. After work, around 5 p.m., that was always my overeating window. And the reason I would do that is because I viewed food as a way to zone out. I viewed food as like this transitional sign that, like, okay, I can relax now. So I was using the food as relaxation. So even though I wasn't hungry, I was just using it like, okay, this is a signal to my nervous system. You can relax now. You're at home. You're done working for the day. So having a big bucket of popcorn, it was something I was using as a way to transition into like relaxation. So that's a psychological thing. That's not about food. That was me emotionally eating, basically. And I was eating the popcorn because I was looking forward to watching my documentary or watching my show. So that's not a strong enough, clearly that's not a strong enough habit to stop me from overeating. So now, instead of looking forward to watching a documentary at home by myself, I look forward to the seasons. So, for example, spring is coming up. Actually, I'm very excited. February is coming up. February is one of my favorite times of the year because I do a lot of self care in February. I have a lot of fun events that I go to in February. Valentine's Day is coming up. So February is like my self-care month. Also, on the Decentering Men series, you guys have heard me talk about how I tend to celebrate myself on my ex's birthdays, and majority of my exes do happen to be Aquarius. They do happen to have February birthdays. So there are a lot of big dates for me coming up in February. So, part of what keeps me thin and keeps me on track is I have other really big, exciting, fun things to look forward to. So, I'm going to these girly events. I've got a couple spa days that I need to schedule. So, I'm going to be at the spa. I don't have time to overeat. I'm going to be in the sauna. You can't bring food into the sauna. You can't eat while you're getting your nails done because your hands are your hands are inside of the little water thing, or it's like your nails are being cured under that little light thing. So I don't have time to eat because the things I'm looking forward to are different, or just looking forward to the weather warming up and thinking about all the cute outfits I'm going to wear. One of my goals for summer, actually, and I told my mom about this, I've literally told my family about this. One of my goals is to use up all of my bikinis because I have so many bikinis that I just didn't wear last summer. So, one of my goals for this time around is when it gets warm, I'm going to go out of my way to wear all of my bathing suits. They are not going to just sit in my closet. So if that means making swimming a part of my morning workout, then I will do that. And I talked about that before, getting my 10K steps inside of the pool. So literally walking around, it does take a really long time though to get 10K steps. So what I will do is I will walk in the pool, and then usually I have my earphones on, and then I'm listening to usually some exotical content. I've noticed that whenever I'm in the pool, I'm always listening to the Exotic Brown Skin, or I listen to the Level Up Guru on my earphones. And then sometimes I'll get out of the pool and just walk around, and that's helping me to get my steps in. And then I have my little earphones in, so I'm not under the water. You're not getting super messy. So if you don't want to mess up like your makeup and stuff, if you still have somewhere to go, just don't dip your head under the water. But a lot of women who stay belugas, they are belugas because deep down inside, they don't feel like their life is going to get any better or any more exciting. That's why I say that they settled. They're like, okay, this is my life now. So no more performance. I feel like being thin, a lot of people view being thin as a performance. A lot of people view privilege as a performance. And it doesn't have to be, but I understand why they would think that. So I think sometimes women who stay fat, they're doing it as a form of rebellion. Like, oh, I'm rebelling against patriarchy by being fat and ugly and not doing my makeup and not showering and not shaving or whatever. But I enjoy having different privileges because it really does enhance my life. It makes it exciting. Do I think privilege is good? Do I think privilege is fair? Of course not. Name one thing in our society that is perfectly fair. I mean, of course we live in a fucked up world, but what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to unalive myself because I'm privileged? No. And other people, they're taking advantage of their privileges. They're providing for their families using their pretty privilege. They are doing things with their thin privilege, so why can't I do things with mine? And something else too, a lot of big women, they don't think enough about the benefits of being thin. And I think for some of them, they've never really been thin. Like they've never had thin privilege. So they don't even know what that's like. They don't, like, for example, Chrissy, the YouTuber, she's always been big and she's still overweight to this day. So she doesn't know what it's like to be a thin, privileged, pretty privileged, dark skinned black woman, for example. So I think some women, they've never even tapped into that world. They don't realize how big the world is. They don't realize how many different life experiences they could have if only they tried. And so I think for some women, they feel like it's too difficult to even try. They feel like there's too much weight they would have to lose, or they're scared of the maintenance phase. Most women are not afraid of weight loss, they're afraid of maintenance. They're afraid of having to change their lifestyle, and for the rest of their lives, they never get to binge on pasta again. They never get to eat that much ice cream again. That's where the real fear comes from for a lot of women with this beluga mindset. But if you have your pretty girl journal, I want you to list 10 non food things that you are looking forward to in the next 30 days. So list 10 things that don't have anything to do with food. So I talked about my friend's housewarming. Also, next week, so like on the 7th, that is when my new membership goes live for my my new sport that I'm doing. So I'm going to start getting my private lessons. I cannot wait to get private lessons. Oh my God. So I'm going to start getting my private lessons. So I have to go shopping. I have to go get my equipment, my sports equipment. So that's an example of something that has nothing to do with food, but it's exciting because that's a way of showing my personality. It's kind of like I'm expanding my personality by trying new hobbies outside of the house. By the way, I'm trash at this sport. I've never tried it in my life. So I'm just going to start, and then it'll just be like this fun activity. And I'm excited to get my ball and everything because it's going to be pink, obviously. Everything is going to be pink. And that's another way of showing my personality. You know how they say, oh, you're making being thin your personality. Actually, no, I have a much more multifaceted personality than you, Sharon, because your personality is based on all the restaurants in town. That's the only thing you can talk about. That's the only conversation starter that you have. And think about it. If a woman is a beluga and all she does is she sits in her house, she only travels once a year. So she doesn't go to that many different places. What is she really going to talk about? Like, what's interesting about her? And I'm not trying to be rude, but seriously, like, what's interesting about her? All she does is she sits inside and she just watches TV. So what kind of conversations is she going to be able to have? All she can talk about is the new episode of Love Island. Would I rather just talk about Love Island, or would I rather look like I could be on Love Island? And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you're thin and pretty, your life is more similar to like a Love Island, for example. All you have to do is go to the beach, and you're going to get guys trying to come up to you or whatever. You're going to have somebody maybe buy you a drink at the beach cabana or whatever. So a lot of the things that these big women fantasize about in these TV shows that they're watching TV shows with what kind of women? Thin women who look like me. You're literally watching my twins on Netflix. You're literally watching my body type across your TV screen, but then you want to try to convince me that my life ain't shit and that I'm not special. Nothing about me is special. That's bullshit. People make entire TV shows based on my body type all the time. It's actually hilarious because I went to the movies recently, and one of the movies that I saw, it had this actress in it, and her body is obviously like mine. And seeing one of the scenes in the movie where she was wearing like a bikini, basically like more of a lingerie type of outfit, that immediately inspired me to put down the popcorn. So there's something about seeing yourself reflected back to yourself that literally inspires you to be better, because seeing her body on the screen and then thinking about how, oh wait, that's how my stomach looks. Oh wait, that's how my boobs look. Oh wait, that's how my legs look. So I would like to maintain that. I enjoy seeing my body being represented in a positive light on a movie. So you know what? I don't need this extra sodium tonight. I don't need these extra carbs, because I am enjoying myself. I feel emotionally fulfilled by seeing my representation in the media. A lot of people talk so much shit. They want all this representation in the media. Okay, is your body type being represented in the media? What is easier to change? Is it easier to change the entire media system, or is it easier to just put down the fork? Which one's easier? And I hear some women saying, oh, well, I don't want to be a follower. I'm not just going to follow the trends. I'm not just going to follow what social media does. And it's like, ma'am, you're not the queen of the world. The world doesn't revolve around you. You don't get to be the leader of everything. Everybody has certain areas where they are a leader, and then they have certain areas where they follow. So, yes, I'm following a healthy diet. I don't get mad because I'm not the queen of the FDA. I'm not the queen of the CDC. I'm not the queen of creating the nutrition food pyramid. No, I don't have to boss everybody else around. Sometimes you need to follow because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So I don't have a problem with following somebody who's more knowledgeable, following what my doctor says, or, following something that benefits me the most. Some women have such big egos, and you would think that having a skinny body would make me have a bigger ego. No, I'm actually convinced that the women who are more rebellious or whatever, I'm convinced that those women actually have bigger egos because everything they're doing is a form of social justice. Oh, I want to stick it to the man. Oh, I want to try to go against the entire media. That's why I'm just going to be fat. Oh, I don't like skinny women, so I'm just going to try to talk down on them, and then I just want to be as big as possible. And it's like, everything I do doesn't have to be me fighting against somebody else. But number 5 reason that some women are belugas is because they don't have any rewards. They don't have non-food rewards to look forward to. So I talked about how part of my weight loss came from rewarding myself. So maybe once a month or like every time I went down a size, I would reward myself by getting a new fitness outfit. So actually, let me go on my list of rewards. Hold on. Okay, so I literally have an entire document in my phone of all these ideas for ways that I can reward myself without food. So I have a bag of coffee grounds because I love coffee and coffee is 0 calories. I drink black coffee, by the way. If you don't drink black coffee, you're not a coffee person, you're a latte person. But so I have a bag of coffee, a pair of sunglasses from the Fashion District because in my city they have fashion is just a really big thing here. So they have like these thrift stores, they have different like vendors out on the sidewalks and stuff, and they always have really cute sunglasses, but I just never bought any because I was always like, oh, that's not a big deal. That's not very responsible to spend your money on sunglasses. So I put that on my list of rewards. And they had all these different color sunglasses. Like, there are some yellow sunglasses that I have been wanting for the longest time. You know the Y2K aesthetic? So they kind of look like that, except they're yellow. And I have been looking at those. They have all these unique colored sunglasses, like yellow ones, they have green ones, they have like orange. So that's why that's on my list as a reward. And then I have Lululemon leggings. So if I want to get fancy and reward myself for Christmas or something. Luxury makeup. I have apartment decor on here. I have a cute fancy beach towel. Oh, that's a great idea. I need a new beach towel too because I said I was going to use up my swimsuits. So I think that would be a good reward. Like maybe if I use up 10 swimsuits, then my reward is I can get a new beach towel. So do you see how I kind of create different rewards? It kind of like keeps me motivated and it makes it fun. Like, because now I can go to the pool 10 times. I can go to the beach 10 times if I want. And then I can get a new beach towel in the end. I can get a cute Barbie beach towel. That would be so pretty. Like a pink beach towel. Then I can lay on the towel and like take photos and stuff and just like be pretty. So you can make a reward list for yourself that has nothing to do with food, or you can start to view the 0 calorie foods as rewards. So, I know that in the fitness community, a lot of people are against like Splenda and like, basically the fat free foods or like fake sugars and stuff. I am not against that. I try not to make that my main stuff that I eat, but every now and again, I will reward myself with that. So, one of the rewards that I had a few months ago was getting the 0 calorie brown sugar. And that's because I love brown sugar. I love the taste of brown sugar. And so after being in shape, I was like, okay, that's my reward. Next time that I go grocery shopping, I can order on Amazon the Truvia, the brown sugar version. And then sometimes I will get myself like the sugar-free syrups and like that can be a reward. So it's technically food, or it's like a part of the food category, but it's not me feeding an addiction because I only get it maybe once every couple months, and then it's helping me. So even though it's a bit expensive, like the syrups and stuff, it's still going to help me because now I can make my own lattes at home and I don't have to have it with freaking syrups. You know what? Maybe on the members page, maybe I will do a review of all the different 0 calorie foods I've tried, and maybe I can rank them like 1 to 10, do like a tier list or something, so I can recommend which ones I think taste the best or the worst. Because at this point, I have tried so many different things like mustard, that is 0 calorie. They have 0 calorie mayonnaise. They have very low calorie Cool Whip, so I've used that in my desserts. Cool Whip was actually a really good replacement for ice cream. I told you guys that I used to be addicted to dairy, and especially in the summertime. Oh my God, the summertime. So you would think that the wintertime was my beluga season. No, summertime is when I would become the biggest beluga because I was constantly having big ass milkshakes. You know, the 32-ounce milkshakes? Oh my God, those are so good. So in the summertime, I had the big ass milkshakes. I would go on like road trips and stuff. So, of course, I had to have my big gulp. I told you guys I used to be a stan of 7-Eleven. I was a fucking groupie for 7-Eleven. I had the app on my phone. Like, I was always going into 7-Eleven. So that was pretty much the majority of my diet, especially in the summertime. So I basically would spend the entire summer eating gas station food and then wondering why I'm built like a gas tank. But if you are somebody that's like a foodie, one of the ways that you can switch it up is instead of obsessing over gas station food, maybe you can switch to like all of the healthy food places. So that is something that I've gradually been trying. I will be honest though, it hasn't been going super well. Like I've been a little bit more tempted than normal just because with restaurant food, it does tend to have more grease and oil. But if you are really good at controlling yourself, instead of obsessing over places like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, maybe you can start keeping up with Smoothie King. Maybe you could keep up with Jamba Juice instead. Maybe you could follow Starbucks, like see what low calorie stuff they have at Starbucks. Starbucks is actually very sugary. That actually wasn't a very good, that wasn't a good example, but something that's like a replacement, a healthier replacement for whatever you're already obsessed with. And another thing that I do sometimes is if I'm going to go to a restaurant, like an unhealthy restaurant, fried food, takeout, food truck, whatever, if I'm going to a place like that, I will plan it out. So, okay, next month on the 15th, me and Sarah are going to the Creole food truck. Me and John are going to the African food spot or whatever. Like it's already planned out. And then I try to space it out maybe about a month apart so that it doesn't become this daily thing where it's like, oh, every other day I'm eating at a restaurant. I try to build friendships that are not based on food. So a lot of belugas, their family relationships and their friendships and their romantic relationships are based on food. If a man wants to take you on a date, it has to be dinner. I don't understand that. I literally don't understand that because that makes no sense. Because if you're a desirable woman and if you're having a roster and all that, they're talking about having a dating roster. So then why the fuck would I want to go out to a restaurant 5 times a week? That makes no sense. I will literally be 200 pounds in 6 months. Going to a restaurant, eating an entire restaurant meal 5 days a week. I mean, at that point, that's going to replace my grocery shopping. That's all that's going to happen. It's literally going to replace my groceries. So now my entire fridge is filled with the fucking steakhouse because I had a roster of 5 men and then they all took me to a restaurant where they give huge servings. The average restaurant serves you about 2.5 times the serving size. And if you're going to a fine dining restaurant, it's going to be a smaller serving size. But we all know that most men are not taking women out to fine dining restaurants, especially not a woman they just met on a dating app yesterday. That's a complete lie. That's complete bullshit. So that's another thing too. For a lot of belugas, their dating life takes over their health. They're like, oh, I got a boyfriend now. Okay, so I'll just be fat then. He offered to take me to the steakhouse. Okay, I'm eating steak then. He offered to give me this pizza. Okay, I'm eating the pizza then. We're having a night where we watch movies and eat popcorn. Okay, then I'm eating popcorn all night then. And that doesn't even make sense. First of all, I don't even understand how you would have sex after eating like that. Like, my stomach would feel so uncomfortable. Anyway, that's a different topic. But that is something to think about too. If you are a foodie, figure out how to be a foodie and be a skinny foodie. Just be a healthy version of a foodie. Maybe you could go to restaurants and try to find something on the menu that lines up with your diet. So that's what I've done. So you know what? Maybe I can talk about that too on the members page. So for example, Joey's. I don't know why that place is so popular. I grew up going to Joey's. Um, but on Joey's menu, they have vegetable items. On the Cheesecake Factory menu, I always get the lettuce wraps. I do not get the kale salad because it's 900 calories. A salad is actually one of the worst things that you can order. If you're trying to be healthy, why the fuck would you just order their salad and then you just let them douse it in a whole bunch of oil? That makes no sense. So you're telling me that I'm trying to be healthy, but I just ate 500 calories worth of vegetable oil. Oh, I'm healthy because I got a salad. Ma'am, you literally just did an oil change on your stomach. You literally just pumped oil into your stomach. So that is not being healthy. I would never in my life order a salad from a restaurant and not get the dressing on the side. If you got the dressing on the salad, send it back immediately because you literally just fucked up. You just messed up. I don't even eat that much oil when I'm at home. I might as well have got a cheeseburger. If I'm going to have a 900 calorie kale salad drenched in oil, bitch, I could have got a cheeseburger at that point. That's the same amount of calories and the same amount of oil. So it's like, why would I go through all this, do all this fat, have all this grease in my stomach, and then it doesn't even taste that good? It's mediocre. And then I try to make the excuse, oh, well, but it's a salad. Okay, but salads also bloat your stomach temporarily. So now I just had hella grease. I had a ton of oil. Inside of my stomach, it's slipping and sliding. I've got boo-boo slipping and sliding through my intestines right now, and my stomach is bloating, and I'm supposed to feel sexy. I'm supposed to feel beautiful. And I just went on a date. That is the worst possible item that you could get. And then also, salad is more likely to get stuck in your teeth as well, spinach and everything. That is literally the worst item to get. And I noticed that tends to be a beluga strategy. They think that the only healthy option at a restaurant is a salad. So it's automatically salad, salad, salad. And it's like, ma'am, you're just bloating, bloating, bloating. You're just drinking up oil right now. So one of your hobbies, if you're a foodie, you could try looking at the menu to see, like, I always look at the menu ahead of time. I'm not about to walk in unprepared. Thin women, we are prepared women. We know how to plan ahead. We meal prep, we plan our workouts, we plan how much water we're going to drink, we fill our water bottles every morning, we take our supplements. So why the fuck would I suddenly go out to a restaurant where I'm going to be spending money? Why would I go somewhere where I'm going to spend money and then I pay money so that I could get fat? I literally paid money so I could have little green dots stuck in my teeth. I paid money so that I could have a whole bunch of Crisco grease all over my face because I got this oily ass salad and then I didn't get it on the side. And you guys, let's be honest, salad dressing is not that good. It's not that good. That's why they don't have fucking chicken that has salad dressing on it. All of the flavors of the sauces that they put on chicken wings, those are the good sauces. They don't put freaking balsamic vinegar on chicken wings. That is not a popular dish. So stop trying to convince me that, oh, it's just because the dressing is just so good and, my salad, it just tastes so great. No, it doesn't. It doesn't taste great. Balsamic vinegar does not taste great. Balsamic vinegar tastes better with bread. So if I'm going to eat 900 calories at a restaurant, bitch, I'm just going to go ahead and have the bread. I'm just going to go ahead and have a slice of that bread, and I will go ahead and dip it in the oil and vinegar. Because it's the same amount of calories at this point. It's the same amount of bloating at this point, so I might as well at least enjoy the fucking calories while I'm getting them. So why would I eat a 900 calorie kale salad when I literally could have had some steak, I could have had some salmon, and that's very high protein. It's high protein, low calorie. Seafood is always going to be one of my top items that I try to get on the menu. If I want something hot, I'm going to get seafood. If it's really, if it's warm outside, like if it's summertime or something, then yeah, I might get a salad. But generally speaking, salads, they have all these different ingredients mixed in. And then you want to throw some nuts in the salad. Why would you completely fuck it up? You had a perfectly good salad. You had strawberries in there. You had spinach in there. You had little carrots or beets or little vegetables in there, and then you want to completely fuck it up by putting some candied pecans on top of the salad. You literally basically just broke up a candy bar and put it on the salad. That's what it is. It's a candy bar with some leaves in it at that point. You doused it in 500 calories worth of oil, and then you put some candied nuts on top of it. Since when are candied pecans healthy? It's like doused in brown sugar, they're doused in cinnamon, and it's like, okay, this tastes good, but bitch, I'm trying to eat a salad. Am I at the fair right now? Is this a fucking carnival? Is this a food festival? Why am I eating candied pecans and then trying to call it healthy because, oh, it's a salad? Just because it has leaves in it doesn't mean that it's healthy. If you just put fucking caramelized nuts on my salad, I basically just had a Snickers bar then. That's literally the same amount. I basically just had candied almonds and candied nuts, and it's caramelized, or you got all this sugar on it. Okay, so I basically just had a Payday bar. I had a Babe Ruth bar. I had a Snickers bar on top of some leaves. That is not healthy. Of course, you're not going to lose weight. You just ate 900 calories worth of candy bars and grease. And then they want to put a giant handful of cheese crumbles on it. All that feta cheese and goat cheese, that's already like a couple hundred extra calories right there. And it's like, okay, so my stomach is filled with dairy and oil and basically the inside of a candy bar. And then you threw some leaves on it, and then you tried to say, oh, it's healthy. Well, ma'am, that's why it's 900 calories. It's because that's what you're actually eating. And that's also why you got green dots stuck in between each tooth. You are not experienced. A lot of big women, they don't have a lot of experience with actually being skinny out in the world. They don't know. Basically, they have to stay in a controlled environment all the time. That's why they're at home 24/7. Home is the only place she has control. She doesn't have control over her cravings. She has no control over her body, no control over her mind or her emotions. That's why she emotionally eats. No control over her social life, no control over her calendar. She's a slave at a freaking cubicle somewhere. And then you expect me to believe that suddenly you know what to order on the menu. And then you pick a freaking salad. You pick a candy bar salad that is doused in oil. And then they give you a gigantic bowl. They give you a giant bowl where you literally could feed like 5 people with that salad. It's literally like a family size salad. And it's like, ma'am, the size of your stomach is what? The size of a fist? So what makes you think that you could eat the amount of salad that could fill a pizza box? That's why you're still shaped like a pizza box, even though you were eating salads. It's because they were 900 calories each. So if you have a dating roster, you're going out with 5 guys a week, and then you're eating 5 salads a week, okay, you basically just ate 5,000 calories worth of oil and grease and candied nuts and dairy. And it's like, if I'm going to eat 900 calories, I need to have at least 300 calories. At least about 350 of that should be protein. So I'm instantly going to go for the salmon. I'm instantly going to go for the shrimp, which is also low calorie. Any sort of fish, I'm going to go for that instead. Because it's easier to digest. It's actually helping me to build muscle or protect the muscle I already have. You know how they say, oh, well, you're losing weight, so your body's eating up your muscle. Actually, no, it's not. Your body is eating up your muscle because you basically just had a Snickers bar on top of some leaves, and you're calling it healthy and saying, oh, it's a salad. The top 10 places that made me a beluga were gas stations. That it might as well be called the beluga station, because pretty much everything in there is going to be very high sodium, it's going to be very high carb. And then they have the audacity to charge you $7 for a small cup of grapes. Bitch, this is the gas station. It's supposed to be cheap. Why am I paying $7 for a tiny cup of expired grapes? And the grapes at the gas station, they never taste the same as the grapes in like Whole Foods. So it's like you're doing that on purpose. This is not the gas station. I am not getting actual fuel. You want people to be shaped like gas tanks. That's why you're selling this. That's why you overcharge for all the healthy items at the gas station. But then a bag of chips is like 75 cents. And then it's on clearance. And usually when it's on clearance or it's half off, that's because it's expired, boo. It's expired or it's about to expire soon. So now I've got rotten Doritos in my stomach as well. Because the expiration date, it said I had to eat it by today, but it's not going to be out of my body by today because it's still got to go through my entire digestive system. So I've got some Doritos in my stomach that expired the other day. And then the gas station wants to overcharge for a fruit cup. You want to charge $7 just to get a cup of fruit when I literally could have just gone to Whole Foods and got an entire thing of fruit. I can get an entire watermelon from Walmart for $7. But the gas station wants to rip you off, so it's basically called the Beluga Station. That's what I'm going to be calling it. The Beluga Station, that is a part of what made me a beluga. Also, anything from the potato chip aisle. Oh, but these are kettle chips. Oh, but these are just tortilla chips, so it's not as fattening. No, if you eat a bunch of tortilla chips, you're going to be shaped like a tortilla chip. Just like how you're not supposed to eat a bunch of tortillas. Oh, well, I'm eating healthy because I only had tacos. Ma'am, you had 8 tacos, and that's why you're built like a taco. First of all, why would I have a whole bunch of tortillas? That's pure flour. It's basically flour. It's basically corn, which is one of the most processed items in our society today. I mean, it pretty much came out of a factory. So why would I eat that? And then I try to make this excuse that I'm healthy. Also, anything from the bakery aisle. The bakery aisle is also, that's a beluga station. That is a beluga habit. If you go to a lot of bakeries, I guarantee you're probably overweight. I have never heard of anybody that eats baked goods and pastries on a daily basis and they're thin. I've never heard of that. I've never seen that because, first of all, bread, carbs cause you to carry more water weight. So yeah, I've never seen anybody that's thin and cut and they have a flat stomach. You can see their abs and then they eat pastries every day. I've never heard of that. So the beluga aisle, the bakery, part of why they try to entice you at the bakery, the way they entice you is based on their cake decorations because it looks so pretty and oh my god, it says happy birthday. Oh, it says happy Mother's Day on it. Oh, it says happy Valentine's Day. It's in the shape of a heart. So they're trying to suck you in by using your emotional state. They're trying to suck you in and make you sentimental so that you can buy the cupcake and be shaped like a muffin. That's why you have a muffin top, is because you eat a whole bunch of cupcakes and you fell for the propaganda. Oh, it's got some pretty pink frosting on it. Oh, it's got a little princess on it. Oh, that would be so cute to bring to my daughter's classroom, bring the cupcakes. And then next thing you know, you get an extra slice of cake for yourself. And then they want to charge you $5 for one slice of cake. Why the fuck would I pay? If I'm going to have a $5 budget, I could easily just go and literally get an iced coffee. I can get an iced coffee that's going to last me all day. I could put some Splenda in the iced coffee so I still get the sweet taste. And that's going to be less than $5. And I can even get a little teeny tiny like miniature croissant, or I can get like a miniature candy bar. If it's that serious, I could just do that for $5 and it lasts longer. Why would I pay $5 for a slice of cake? And first of all, half the cake is nasty. I actually don't like cake. I like frosting. So in my case, I just paid $5 for this slice of cake. 50% of it is nasty, dried out bread. And a lot of belugas don't understand. You don't actually like every part of the food you're eating. You don't like it. Like that salad that you got, you didn't like the actual salad part. You didn't like the leaves. You liked the oil. You liked the dressing only. You only liked the candied pecans that they put on there. You like cheese. Okay, so just admit that that's what you like. You don't like vegetables then. But in terms of the cake, why would I spend $5 on a piece of cake from the bakery? It's been sitting in the fridge for 3 days. There's probably mold at the bottom of it. It probably has been freezer burnt, or it has that nasty refrigerator taste. The actual dough of the cake is dried out. The actual cake part is dry. It's not moist. The only good part is the frosting, and then they never want to put a lot of frosting on it. I'm like, why would you skimp on the best part of the cake? So you had one chance. Safeway, you had one chance. Publix, you had one chance to make this taste good. Kroger, Randall's, QFC, you had one chance. Vaughn's grocery store, you had one chance to make this taste good. And instead of prioritizing the frosting, you decide to prioritize this nasty breaded cake dough that is literally dry and crumbly. I literally can't even pick it up with my fork because the crumbles of the cake will fall through in between the fork. So I basically have nothing on the fork. And I paid $5 for this, and I only ate the frosting. There was only 2 tablespoons of frosting. So I only got 2 tablespoons worth of dopamine. And then, now I'm poorer. And I basically got ripped off. And guess who they're advertising those cakes to? The belugas. They're advertising that stuff to the impulse buyers because they know that people who have a beluga mindset are just going to be so desperate. So desperate for that dopamine, so desperate for the sugar. So now, one of my skinny habits, if I really want some cake or something, you know what I will do? I will bypass the bakery, because at my grocery store, the protein bar aisle is next to the bakery. So I will walk right past the bakery, because fuck them and their dry ass cakes. And I will go to get a protein bar that is the same flavor. So, like, maybe I'll get a protein bar that is birthday cake flavored. So that is my new replacement for candy bars. I don't try to lie and say, oh, I'm healthy, I ate a salad, but then they basically put a candy bar on top of the salad and then they drenched it in oil. No, if I want a candy bar, I'm just going to be honest with myself. Okay, let me get a candy bar. Sometimes I will get the actual candy bar too, but I'll get the mini version of the candy bar. I don't really like doing that though. And that's because if you try to buy the mini version of the candy bar, usually at my grocery store, they just have them in bags. So I would have to buy a whole bag of like the miniature crunch bars, which is one of my favorites. And it's like, do I really need an entire bag of crunch bars? And some of you guys need to practice getting a substitute. So instead of the crunch bar, instead of the Reese's, go and get the sugar-free version of it. If you have a sugar problem like how I did, just try to get a sugar-free version. Stop always trying to go for the sugar. Oh, well, I'm just going to eat a miniature version of it. You know damn well that you are not capable of doing that. So why not just be honest with where you're at? But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.